Marquitas of Pageantry, and as you can see, I have a special guest for Miss Universe Philippines. She is, of course,
Jenina Anne Lui. I'm representing the Filipino community of Sydney.
Sydney, dynamite. Yan ang drama natin ngayon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tita. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for reaching out. So for those of you who have been wondering, sila po ang nag-reach out para naman makilala natin si Jenina. And para may idea tayo kung ano bang pinaglalaban.
A little get to know me.
Exactly.
Such an honor to reach out to your big, lovely community.
Big, lovely community
Big,
daw
lovely
tayo.
community.
Thank you. Alright, so let's get...
I feel so blessed that I've gotten to this opportunity. I only started pageantry 2 years ago for Miss Philippines Australia. And the reason I took on that challenge, being someone who was actually more into sport beforehand and focused on academics as well, is because my family is quite involved with community service in Australia, and there is a charity queen. So kaya we pushed for the challenge, and with big blessings, I got Miss Philippines Australia. So now I have been more involved in pageantry.
Okay, so that was just a short introduction, and from what I gathered, family is active, may sports background, at hahalungkatin pa natin lahat yan.
Yes.
Okay, let's start from the very beginning.
Okay.
Janina, you're representing Sydney.
Yes.
The Filipino community in Sydney. How did you end up in Sydney?
So I grew up in Sydney. My parents came to Sydney, Australia many years ago for work, and from there, that's where me and my younger brother grew up.
So there are only two of you in the family?
Yes, a small, tight-knit family. Yes.
Okay, so I had a chance to have a chat with you kanina. I talked about a little bit of your accent, why it's kind of neutral, but it's not. Tell us about your upbringing in Sydney.
Upbringing in Sydney. Well, whilst we're living in Australia, my parents really taught us to stay close to our Filipino roots, and we still celebrate those traditions. As in, like before I came here, nagsinulog festival kami because every year we always participate in the dancing. All those traditions that they grew up with, they still teach us in our family. We speak Tagalog at home. In fact, on the TV, usually Filipino. And also, we always come back to the Philippines.
Okay.
Nandito yung mga relatives ko. My grandparents were also here, so dito kami mag-Christmas or New Year's. Ayun. So, kahit nandun kami in Australia, I feel like we are not so far away from home. Philippines are home.
What have you been doing in Australia? I understand you're only 21.
I'm 21 years old.
21 years old?
Yes.
She's a baby. Okay, so before we get into the pageantry questions, what have you been doing? Are you still in school? Are you done with school?
Yes, so I graduated in accounting at UNSW, and I was only able
Mathematics.
to go to, yes, I am more into numbers. I got to go to my dream university through scholarships, and I never would have imagined that I got scholarships through academics and sports. So a big passion of my life was in Taekwondo. I got to compete internationally through that, and that allowed me to go to UNSW, and I did commerce, majoring in accounting. So I graduated in 2019, and I'm currently working as an audit analyst at a Big Four firm.
Wow, only 21 and she's already working in an accounting firm.
That's right.
They're calling this year as the most intense.
Yes, very exciting.
Going into like this whole idea that you didn't really know a lot of pageantry, now that you're actually here, what are you learning that nobody told you before?
Right. Well, pageantry is certainly a village effort, and that is what I really enjoy from this, is that you get to work with such creative people who are so giving and generous of their time, and I think that's a quality of Filipinos, because you give and you help as if you're family and you've known each other for so long. So kahit bago lang ako in this world, in this community, it's as if I've known all these people for years and years. And I know that pageantry is something that Filipinos are very passionate about.
Yes.
So you put your heart and soul into it, and I'm willing to take on that
Yourself into Taekwondo. Because when you talk about it, it seems na medyo ang taas na ng narating natin sa Taekwondo. I mean, it's part of your narrative.
Yes.
Ano ba to? Katulad ba to ng mga classes no na parang konting kicking and screaming? Or talagang you went the extra mile with your Taekwondo career?
So for Taekwondo, I know a lot of people know about self-defense. My focus actually for 12 years was sparring. So that's the one where you're wearing helmet,
Girl, ang
guards,
payat
and you're
natin!
kicking. I know, it's quite unexpected. Even for me, till this day, parang I could have gone into another sport. My mother would have preferred na I do golf or continue dancing. Because I was doing dancing, as many younger girls did. They were doing dancing, they were doing piano. And I actually picked it up from my younger brother and my dad, who became black belts before me. So, you know, I was just watching, and then yung master invited me to one class, and I enjoyed stepping out of my comfort zone. So, actually, I'm more of parang reserved and obviously a smaller framed girl. But I enjoyed stepping out of my comfort zone and that challenge to be a more fierce side of myself, because I realized when you step out of your comfort zone, you push yourself to be better, and it's so satisfying in the end. So, that was my alter ego. And I learned a lot.
And it's nice if you can keep something. Para siyang may superpower na they might see you as someone timid, with a smaller frame, yung pala tumataekwondo pala tayo.
I think I like to surprise people with that. That's right.
Are you going to be employing the same strategy here at Miss Universe Philippines, knowing that you will be competing against more popular girls, more recognized girls?
I think I'm not so intimidated by the fact that I haven't been here for many years. We have many veterans who have been in the beauty pageant scene for so long, but I want to surprise the audience. I want to bring something fresh and unexpected. Actually, I appreciate that I don't have any parang habits of the past, so that I can bring something fresh to the stage, because we want a new sort of beauty queen that can offer something unique, and I hope I can do that.
Alright, so I know I've been conversing in English, but a lot of people, especially when we talk about candidates coming from the Filipino community, are always so nervous about the speaking skills of the representative. Please convince them, tell them, nasan ba tayo sa communication skills?
So communication skills. Growing up, I'll be honest, public speaking is not something I've always been fond of. Where I did debating and mock trial back at school, and that's how I tried to build my public speaking skills, because I know that it's super important in your career and your future. So ever since school, I tried to really improve my communication skills, and I hope that I can eloquently express myself in this journey.
What about Tagalog? Kasi syempre, yun yung mga gustong-gustong binabato ng ating mga pageant fans. Marunong ba mag-Tagalog yan? May pagka-Pilipino ba yan? May laking Pilipino ba yan?
I can speak Tagalog din naman, kasi growing up, teleserye yung nasa TV. I come to the Philippines quite often, so pupunta din kami sa Tiangge, so kailangan mag-Tagalog para masaya. Sa bahay din, nagtatagalog din kami. Taglish, pero you can speak to me in Tagalog, and I will do my best to speak.
Ayan, so guys, check tayo dyan. So walang tatakasan ng kilay. Marunong ba mag-Tagalog?
Marunong naman din po.
But yes, but I want to also open up that conversation. Yes. Because this edition, we have more and more candidates from the Filipino-speaking, from the Philippine communities internationally.
That's right, yes.
We've had that in the past, like every year, even at Binibining Pilipinas, even at Miss World and Miss Universe. But now we have more. And I feel like it's also separating the opinions of pageant fans. I think it's safe.
Why
now?
Yes.
What do you know about your country? Like, how can you convince them that it's okay to represent the Philippines even if you grew up in a different country?
Yes, when I explain that I'm representing Sydney, I know it's a bit confusing, but to me it makes sense, because growing up in Sydney, I still feel very Filipino at heart. My family is very traditional Filipino. And so, kahit malayo kami, we will still maintain our Filipino qualities. And actually, I think living in Australia, which is a the population is quite diverse, right? And from living in Australia, I think I found a greater appreciation of my roots and the uniqueness of Filipino people. And actually, that's why my initiative and my project when I was Miss Philippines Australia is to do with that. It's building a bridge between Australian Filipinos and the Philippines. So what we did was, we are uniting the youth of the Filipino Australians to reconnect with their roots. So it's something that's very passionate to me. So I'm so appreciative that Miss Universe Philippines is allowing me to see that, show that connection between us. Na kahit malayo na kami, we are still there with you, and we are still Pinoy.
Growing up and living in Australia, malayo ba yung gap? Malaki ba yung gap ng kids who were born and raised in Australia with Filipino parents? I mean, for you to take this one up as a cause, malaki ba? I mean, significant ba yung gap?
It really depends then on the parents' upbringing of the child. I'm fortunate that my parents really, kahit mahirap to go against the tide of Australian parenting, that they still wanted to maintain the Filipino way of bringing up a child. You see, I do notice that there is a fade away from the Filipino ways, the Filipino style, and taking more laid back in Australia sila. They aren't as connected and not celebrating the traditions, and they don't see the Philippines as a place to travel to. On top of my sa akin, the Philippines talaga is the most beautiful place, and the people, you just have to love them. You just love the Filipinos, and I want more youth in Australia to recognize that. And when we did bring our batch, I'm so glad that they appreciated that. So I just wanted to give them that exposure, and they realized I'm a proud Filipino.
Okay. Well, what's your most Filipino trait?
My most Filipino trait? Siguro,
Do you pick things up with your toes? Or do you point using your mouth?
I don't know, parang lifestyle ko na din yun eh, yung mga things like that na sa bahay, take off your shoes, or I noticed nga, when I was trying to pack my clothes then, lahat ang laki because we want to save that money. I probably get that from my Ilocano side.
Ay, so you're from Ilocano?
Yes, my dad is from the Ilocano. So they grew up in Manila, pero there's qualities of me, like loving garlic, I get from my Ilocano side.
So parang, ano to? Okay, so I have cats and everybody knows this.
Yes.
And we talk about like instincts. Ano ba to? Instinct na ba? Like the Ilocano roots, even if you don't discuss it. Nakukuha mo ba yung mga traits?
Siguro, there are things that I don't even notice for the point that, kasi Ilocano.
Oh, I see.
Pero, so that's my dad's side, my mom naman, Nueva Ecija. So there's a bit of difference, and I siguro like in the middle from them.
Okay, so you seem to be very familiar. You mentioned that you vacation here every year.
Every year, as much as possible, and then ever since I got to start working, any holiday or leave that I can take, I will go to the Philippines.
You started working, but I assume bago ka lang sa Lok, di ba?
Yes, 1 year na.
1 year. But how do you feel about, because, okay, so girl, here in the Philippines, isang taon ka palang magtatrabaho, magli-leave ka ng matagal.
I know.
Hindi pwede. Like,
Australia is really a beautiful place of opportunities. I do honestly love to live in Sydney. I think it's a very comfortable place to live in. There's a lot of things you can learn there about independence. I think that's one important difference about independence. And obviously, your climate is very different. So as my parents did for work, they came here and they really appreciated it. For me, I have really enjoyed my time in the Philippines and just in Australia, living in Australia, and I think it'll be exciting to see what it's like living in the Philippines. Yun nga, I lived a comfortable life, I have a really good job, and we took a leap of faith going to the Philippines for a job or a venture that I've never done before. And I think sometimes we should take that risk because it will be so fulfilling for you in the end. And I'm so glad that my parents were very supportive of that.
so wala bang question mark sa kanila na nilipat nga namin kayo sa Australia, tapos ikaw magpupumilit-bumilit sa Pilipinas?
I think both countries have something so valuable and beautiful to offer, and it's about what you make of the experience. So whether you go to Australia or the Philippines, you try to learn as much as you can, connect with the people, and that's how you make a very fulfilling life.
Alright, well, I guess my natural next question is, you're already in Australia, bakit hindi tayo nag-try sa Miss Universe Australia? I know they're very accepting. I remember they sent one representative who was 5'2" in height lang. Hindi naman tatamparan masyado. So, I know very open sa Australia. Why did you not try at Miss Universe Australia?
All my life, pageantry has not always been, or becoming a beauty queen has not always been my top of mind dream.
I see. Okay.
So, where I am today is from a lot of blessings na parang Lord paved the way for me. And I started with Miss Philippines Australia because I thought it would be my opportunity to do what my mom has done. She has always tried to find ways to give back to the Philippines because we acknowledge naman na we live such a comfortable life na, and we don't forget though where we came from and our roots, and we always remember the people back home. Now we can support naman. There's always a way to put that extra effort to help someone, and I thought this big challenge, this can be my show of sacrifice to do something for people who are more in need. And so I chose to take on Miss Universe Philippines because this is my way of giving back, and this is to show my Filipino side. I want to show that though I'm an Australian, I'm also a Filipino.
You know what? A few weeks ago, the reigning Miss Universe Australia, Mariah, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes.
she did I don't know if this was a podcast or like a live something, and she was telling us about her experience as Miss Universe Australia and how it's not really talked about. It's not really, of course, super popular in Australia. So she was shocked and she was overwhelmed when she arrived in El Salvador and they were calling her like first name basis. What about you? You seem to have stumbled upon pageantry because you were just continuing what your parents did, and then now that you're here, what are you realizing? Because here we really take this seriously.
Yes. Well, there's a lot. Parang every detail counts. You know, I thought I could just carry my clothes and just pick whatever I want on the day, or even kasi my social media, it's not something I've always focused on because I'm not a content creator or an influencer.
Ay, magpo-focus ka na ngayon, girl.
Pero na, oo. But that's
Hindi
why
pwede na.
I know exactly all the details.
Papaluin ka na.
Oo nga. So, yun, all those other elements, kasi it's not about just showing up on stage. It's the beforehand of all these other elements, and more importantly, how you connect with the community. Kaya I want to post my social media. Pero yun, that's why siguro I'm enjoying this experience because though I have left work, I'm still mentally challenged. I'm still learning. I'm learning more about the Filipinos. I'm learning about pageantry and the world na rin, in a sense.
Okay, testing nga natin si Jenina ng very, very slight. Alright, Miss Universe Philippines this year has a very specific theme. It's geared towards tourism,
yes,
geared towards the slogan of the Department of Tourism, which says "Love Philippines."
Yes.
For someone like you, anong pinaka-love mo sa Philippines?
There's three elements talaga that I love. It's just so naturally beautiful. Your landscapes are just unmatched. My family does love to travel, but you always have to bring me back to the Philippines. And then our culture, unique yan eh. Especially that each province has something unique to offer. It's a very exciting place to go to. And you cannot forget the people who you will meet along the way. How special it is now you walk through this cafe. Good afternoon, ma'am. That's not something you'll always find. That's not, no. They will do their best to serve you and make you as comfortable as possible. And I have only been here for a few weeks. It's as if I've been living here for years and years and years because yung people where I live, parang they treat you as family. That is something so unique about the Philippines.
Let's talk about the intricacies of joining a pageant, knowing that this one is well loved in the Philippines. You cannot just join a pageant because you have a dream and you're passionate about it. Like what I was telling earlier, it has to be more technical. So for you, what were the first difficult changes that you had to undergo, that you had to go through to prepare yourself for this pageant?
I think what's funny is that our strategy is like an unstrategy in that I'm just gonna come as myself.
Okay.
Because if I try to look at all the girls or look at what they've all done in the past, and how can I be noticed among 64 girls? Each of these 64 girls is something unique to present. I understand that. But I want to make sure I stay true to my core values and my style. So through everything, all the elements because this is a very intense and big competition, we'll do our 100%. We're remaining to our own style, our own core values. And I guess I am bringing a bit of my Australianness as well. That's what will make me different here.
I know that there are two representatives from Australia. Miss Universe Philippines Australia, and then you representing Jenina.
Yes.
Have you met your Australian counterpart?
Yes, we have met. I've met her a couple of times. She's very, very friendly. We do have two different personalities though, and backgrounds. And so I understand why our accredited partners would bring us to, because she is her career is in modeling, ako naman in accounting and numbers. So even though you have two Australians, they're two very different Australians.
Anong pwede mong dalhin sa pageantry na alam mong nag-work sa accounting and in that field?
Well, I know we cannot always plan, pero we try to do our best to plan and strategize talaga and be organized and be diligent with our work. So I have to really work hard because I am quite new to pageantry, where I'm going to make sure that I tick off all the boxes that I need to in preparation for it.
So, I'm listening to you. You seem unfazed with the competition, even if we have, I don't know, returning queens. Queens have competed in international competitions. I think that these queens are on a different level than the other girls who just crossed over from one franchise to another.
Yes.
As a newbie, going against other queens who have competed, at least some of them decades ago, at least a decade ago, what are you going to be bringing to the table to make sure that you're on par with these girls?
Well, if I look on social media every day and try to watch all the things that they do, yes, I'll be intimidated, but it doesn't faze me because I'm going to stay myself. So myself is, I'm really just more a simple girl, but what I think that brings is relatability. I think it's important that Miss Universe Philippines is a representative of Filipinos. And so I'll try to stay true to that side of me that has been taught to me by my parents. I think, I guess my learnings as a taekwondo athlete, my learnings as an accountant will bring me a different strategy. And as a newbie, I bring to the stage a personality that is not, I guess, the same. I'm going to try to not, follow all the trends.
A beauty queen that you look up to, or a beauty queen that you like try to emulate?
Well, in the more recent times, I really admired the style of Pia. I think I tried to stay more classy, elegant, and just really not too wild because that's not my personality. And I admire that after receiving her crown, she does so much work afterwards to help the community. And actually, a special moment for me was on stage. So recently, I've been doing my homework and watching pageantry to learn. And when she had the crown, parang she wasn't celebrating a guy. Now she got the crown. Parang she was taken back now.
Sure, it was a weird situation.
Taken back
also.
now. The girl on stage is not going to be taking the crown, and I've met her personally, but she looks as though someone who's very caring for other people's emotions, and I think that's important of a Miss Universe Philippines, that you're very empathetic and you can feel how it feels in that girl's shoes, or in that case, in her heels.
I think if you watch that edition of Miss Universe, it's one of my favorites, of course, 2015, because as a pageant fan, we had to wait like more than 40 years.
42 years,
right?
42 years till she got the crown.
So of course, by the time we were like more conscious of the pageantry scene, like a lot of us were like probably 10, 12, 13 years. It still doesn't erase the fact that we've been waiting for decades to get that crown. So
it's a huge achievement.
Exactly. Do you remember where you were in 2015? I know you were pretty young.
I remember in 2015.
Yes,
so that's 9 years ago.
And I would assume because the Filipino community might have also celebrated that way. Do you remember where you were?
I would always watch. I can't remember exactly if my grandparents would be in our home at that time. We're usually at every pageant, we are calling my papa on FaceTime and you'll have that on TV.
Okay, so kung ganyan na kayo noong 2015, like what would your whole family be doing? Like how are they taking this? How are they accepting this whole fact na Miss Universe Philippines?
This is a huge challenge for me, stepping out of my comfort zone. Pero I'm motivated by the fact that it's a very exciting time for my family. So when I wake up, they're the first ones on the phone, and I'm messaging me, and I'm inspired to work as hard as I can. And I am so excited that this is bringing together my family and my community. They're all messaging me to help as much as I can. So I feel like it's not just for myself to receive the crown, it's for my family to achieve something. It's our family effort, it's a village effort, and that's what makes me wake up every day so excited about this.
I want to backtrack a little bit on your candidacy because I'm listening to you. I don't know. I just get the feeling that this seems like a family thing. It's a happy surprise. But were you strategic about this? Like, did you plan on joining, I don't know, like the national platform to get to Miss Universe Philippines? Like, how did you get yourself into pageantry? You mentioned it was rooted in like your parents' charity work, but it's one thing to be, the kid where your parents would say, "Oh, you sing to Tita ganito, you sing to Tita ganyan." It's another to actually sit down and decide, I'm going to pursue national pageantry.
I think it's because I've done taekwondo competitively internationally for so many years that I was looking for the next challenge.
I see.
And this next challenge, I realized it's very fulfilling because you're not doing it for just yourself. I also learned through community events that happened prior to winning Miss Philippines Australia. There's a lot you can offer in joining the pageantry scene. I really admired all those Filipinos I met along the way. They just volunteered just purely because they are so proud to be Filipino. And I realized, there's more I can do. There's more I can do to show how appreciative I am of what my parents have done to me.
If you have like supporters or fans, now would be a really good time to address them. Do you have like causes or like charity events coming up or any events that are coming up? Please invite them to support you.
I want to invite you also to our page, Hello Philippines Youth Tour. So that is something that is ongoing yearly, and we are trying to create more events actually. So this is to reconnect the youth of Filipinos overseas to our roots, and so that they learn more about our culture and see the Philippines as a place for tourism. And I think there's a lot that tourism in the Philippines can offer. So you supporting that will support the youth and the Philippines in general. So see us there so you can stay up to date with what's going on.
Alright, so guys, of course, if you want to check out what's happening with Jenina and of course Miss Universe Philippines, the platforms are all there. You can even check our page, Titas of Pageantry, because I will be covering you.
Yes.
We will be covering Miss
Lots of
Universe
updates.
Philippines. Kahit wala akong accreditation, push lang yan. Alright, thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
giving this
much,
opportunity.
Nika.
So much fun.
Thank you. So nice meeting you.
Well, nice
So
meeting you
lovely.
as well. Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.